Hi. Um, well, today I want to talk to you again. Um, First of all, thank you for coming back to listen. Or thank you for coming in the first place if this is your first video of mine that you've actually seen. I've been working with crystals since I was 23 and I'm 42 now. So for me it's a passion. And I've encountered many people who've helped me along the way. But I've also had to find my own way, and everybody does, because we're dealing with in crystals we deal with things which communicate non-verbally with the central energies of the whole universe and of existence, and of the many existences and multiverses in which we exist. And I say that as a slightly flowery way of beginning this, because I'd like in this little video to talk to you a little bit about how to use rose quartz etherically as a crystal to clear spaces in your house or wherever you want to do it. You can do this at a distance, or you can do it in a room where you're present. For example, and I would suggest you start in a place where you're present and close to it. So crystals, I hope you agree, do have their own energy. The energy of rose quartz is generally thought to be one of unconditional love, and it's thought to be a master crystal in the sense that it works with the heart, which is the central energy generating centre of the body and of ourselves. It's worth remembering that how we think about our bodies and ourselves is also to some extent historically and culturally predetermined. So if you'd lived in Greek times, the liver would have been, and certain other older civilizations, the liver would have been a very important organ to relate to, and I might have been talking about the liver, but we're talking here about the heart and what it represents to us today. So the heart represents love and so on, and rose quartz is said to represent unconditional love in the way that it works. Represents the feminine aspect of that energy of the heart, and here, as its unconditionality, it can relate to everything and help everything. So I just want to go through a simple exercise with you for space clearing using rose quartz to provide a focus. Now, when you work with crystals physically or etherically, which simply means you're picturing them, asking them to come into their non-physical, metaphysical form with you, then you need to ask for the essence of the crystal to help you. So it's like the energy, the governing energy of that crystal. Because you need permission. You're not going to just take the energy from it. You need to ask it and request it politely. At least that's the way I think about it. Because if I'm going to regard a crystal as conscious, and I'm going to regard myself as conscious, then I would wish to be treated. I would wish to treat the crystal in the same way I would wish to be treated. I wouldn't want to be told what to do, even if I have the capability to do it. I'd like to be asked. So it's a request, not a demand. So on that, just with that little caveat, if you sit down in a space where you've got a bit of time, and picture a crystal somewhat like this, smaller or larger, it's up to you. It doesn't matter you don't really need to make it massive. This crystal is from the shop, it's 140 quid, but I just got it because it's a nice representation of rose quartz for this video. So you sit down and picture a piece of rough rose quartz in front of you in the centre of the room. Then when you have the picture clear, and people picture things differently. You know, you may picture it visually, some people are very good visually. It may be kinesthetic, a sensation, or just a feeling of the rose quartz. That doesn't matter too much. It can be, as long as it's there for you in the way that you understand it. Yeah. When you've got that feeling clear, and you've asked the crystal to appear to be there, just begin to sense the crystal's energy and its presence, which effectively what we're talking about is the crystal's aura, the energy that it radiates. Remembering that crystals radiate on a pure vibration, so it's an absolute vibration. Our vibration runs up and down and varies from day to day and mood to mood, but a crystal's vibration, providing it's cleansed and clear, is always, its essence vibration is always the same. Well, I personally think individual pieces have different character, but in the sense of what it represents generically. Rose quartz is always going to be rose quartz, it's not going to be amethyst, for example. So sit there and relax, and then just begin to feel, if you can, the energy of the rose quartz surrounding the crystal itself, and beginning to expand into the energy of the room, and try and become aware of the zone of interaction between the energy in the room and the energy of the crystal. Because as the crystal's energy expands and meets more of the energy in the room, you get more and more energy being absorbed and transmuted. And sometimes there can be very stuck energy in a space, so it may take some time. But the key point here is that we're trying to sidestep the conscious mind. So there is no part of this where you're willing the crystal to do something. You've asked, and you step back and you let the process happen. You let the crystal do it and the energy interact at its own rate. In a sense, it's almost like a chemical interaction or an osmotic reaction between the two different energies. And because the rose quartz is operating on I don't know what the right word would be, something like an absolute level, so it's a set energy, so it's set in one level, one vibration. As it moves and encounters more of the energy, gradually the energy of the room will change, and you're actually stepping your observation, your perception into that space of interaction between the crystal, which you've asked to come into the presence in the room, and the energy of the room. And gradually you find more and more of a balance as the energy spreads out. And if you do this practice daily in a space, you can actually begin to change the energy in the space. You can begin to change the energy in the house. You can spread from one room to another. You can also, the Vikings and the Scandinavian tradition, they have a lovely tradition of house elves and good house spirits. So you could ask for the help of the house spirit, or the spirit of the house, to work with this process, and ask maybe for permission to do this process for the house and for the space. And gradually, as I say, crystal works more and more, and if you do it on a repeated basis, you'll find that the energy does change and begin to store itself more and more, and change the whole vibration of the house and the space. And when you've finished doing your session, whatever time you take over it, you just thank the crystal, and you ask for that energy to continue working in the space that you've outlined for the work to be done in. You thank the crystal and the spirits which look after the crystals, and then just let it dissolve back. But then what I always do personally is I ask that the energy that's been transmuted, what you've done, or what you've facilitated, because it's not, we don't do it, we facilitate really new and more positive possibilities. So at least that's how I work. So what I ask for is that the new state of energy is now noted by the universe as the new norm. Yeah? So that higher level of energy, higher level of vibration is now noted as the new norm for that space or that room. And then you can make a commitment if you wish to come back and do more work on the space later and so on, and just thank all the spirits, your guides, and whichever gods look after you, to for their help. And then you just close it down, feel your feet on the floor, feel your hands, and breathe. Come back to the space, because you've been in a different state of awareness when you're doing this, going into that. You thank the crystal very much, and let it go. And then that's it. So that's the beginning of just a little introduction into how I found a way to work with etheric crystals. And I'd just like to mention a wonderful healer of both people and animals who originally introduced me to this technique, called Madeline Walker. Please look her up on Facebook. She's a fantastic healer, and she introduced me to the idea of crystals at an etheric level, and it's a very powerful technique to work with in terms of changing the the energy in the physical environment, and also in your mental and emotional and psychic environment, and so on, and to help to support positive transformation in situations. You can also use it at a distance, especially with something like rose quartz, which is unconditional love, by unconditional love. So you're not actually trying to you're not trying to put conditions on what should happen. You're just asking that the vibration is raised. So you can send help to a person that way as well. But you can't do that to make something happen. You can ask that it happens and that the person is given their extra help. Picture a heart in the middle of their space or their home or something like that, or a rose quartz. That can help as well. But never force it. If it doesn't feel right, don't try and do it. Just work with your own space first, because that gives you the familiarity to do it. So that's just a beginning, hopefully a doorway, and I'm sure many of you have already gone through that door, but if it helps somebody to pass through and to start to work yourself, then please experiment and enjoy. Rose quartz and working with its energy is a lovely thing to do. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing.